Hey everybody, it's been a second since I jumped on here and did a little training. So I wanted to jump on. I've had some things that I've been thinking about and rolling around in my brain and that I wanted to share with you. So this topic is going to be about patience. And I've heard some things and read some things and found some things that I thought were really, really good that I wanted to pass on, because I feel like they'll be very beneficial to everybody and that you can pass along to your teams too in trainings and help them as needed if you feel so. So I read this quote on Instagram the other day. This girl posted and I thought it was so good. She said, "Just because we want it doesn't mean we are ready yet." And I thought that was so good, because I think sometimes we're like, well, I want it, I'm ready, right? I think we all feel that way with Zaya. We're like, I want it, I'm ready, but maybe we're not totally ready for it. Hey, Shannon. And so I want you to keep that in mind. Like, just because you want it doesn't mean you're ready for it yet, okay? So I'm gonna tie this into something that I actually heard at church. Church is a great place for me. I have so much I need to learn, so I sit there and soak it all up. But one of the gentlemen that was actually speaking, he talked about the cacao tree. Oh, good, Jesse, that's awesome. Yes, I love this sweater, it's so nice. So he talked about the cacao tree, and I'm gonna give you guys just a little bit of a background to this, and it's kind of building up to what I'm gonna be talking about, but the cacao tree is the prime example of patience as a virtue. And often you guys will hear me say that you're out there planting seeds, right? That you're planting seeds, you're not going to necessarily see that plant growing, or that, that beanstalk or whatever you're planting, it might not grow, but you're planting those seeds, right? And so this is really interesting with the cacao tree. Once it's planted, it takes 5 years to produce a pod. Okay, and if you don't know what the cacao tree is, it's where we get chocolate. Okay, so think about how yummy chocolate is, how much we love it. It's so like the best thing on earth, right? So once that pod is produced, it takes 5 months for the pod to ripen. Okay, so you're looking at 5.5 years before you're able to even harvest the cacao seed to turn into, you think of like cacao nibs, you think of cacao butter, all the things that we get chocolate from, right? Okay, so 5.5 years from the moment that seed for that tree is planted. Okay, so cacao trees are very, very finicky. So they have to have plenty of shade, they need rainfall, they need humidity, and they need good soil drainage. So it is a very labor-intensive tree to grow. So I was looking up some of the history on this, because the gentleman that talked about it didn't go into all of it, but I think one of the rulers of the Aztecs or the Mayans, I can't remember which ones, but he helped to kind of domesticate it. So he took it as kind of like this wild tree that they would get, beans and the pods from, and turned it into a system where they could really harvest the fruit of those trees, because they loved it. They loved chocolate, right? They wanted more of it. And so he was the one that kind of figured out how to get the cacao tree domesticated to where they could turn it into a system where they could harvest it, not just like once every 5.5 years, but obviously when you think of like farming, hey Ellie, when you think of farming, you have, maybe trees that you plant 1 year, and then you plant another batch 6 months later, and you plant another batch a year later. And so then every few months you're having your trees growing and producing, and you're able to harvest the fruit from that. So what he had ended up talking about was that the Europeans, when they went and conquered Mexico and South America and Central America, they tasted chocolate for the first time. And they were like, oh my gosh, this stuff is the most amazing thing we have ever had. And they just couldn't get enough of it. And so as a result, all these very wealthy, hey Samantha, all these very wealthy Europeans were like, we have got to get chocolate to Europe, because obviously it was very time consuming for them to take the chocolate from Central and South America, hey Anna, and get it to Europe. It was, you know, they had to wait a long time. It was expensive, all those things. Hey Monica. And so they really wanted to be able to have chocolate, eat it, and not have to wait and have all those things. So they spent all this time and money uprooting these chocolate plants, or the chocolate plants, the cacao trees, hey Ashley, and take them to Europe to have them grow. They were like, we're gonna do this, this is great. Hey Melissa. And what they found was that the trees died. So, hey Tara, they had spent all this money and time to get these trees, you know, taken out of the ground, and all they thought all they had to do was just, you know, uproot them and take them to the, you know, to Europe, put them in the soil that they had gotten from Central and South America, and put them in the pots in, you know, Europe, in England and France. And what they found was that even though they had taken the soil, the humidity wasn't right, the rainfall wasn't right, all these things came into play to affect the trees growing to where they could get the cacao. Okay, so, but they had this appetite for it. And so what they realized is, okay, well, we can't do this. We got to figure out a different way. And so that's why there's a lot of chocolate that comes from Africa and, you know, the Ivory Coast and stuff, because it has a similar, it's like weather system and soil as Central and South America. So they found that it worked, and it wasn't as time consuming to cross the ocean. They could just go down to Africa. So on that note, okay, I want you guys to think of your hearts as the soil where you are planting your Zaya tree, okay? Now, you might think, I have the right soil for this. Like, I have the right intentions. I have the right goals and motivations. But I want you to really kind of dig deep and think, you know, is my Zaya tree not growing because there's something that I'm doing and something about my heart that needs to be shifted or changed? So remember, we talked about just because you want it, so just because you want that chocolate doesn't mean you're ready for it yet. So even though you want that chocolate and you've taken it to your, you know, your home base to England, and you're wanting that chocolate, it doesn't mean that it's gonna grow, okay? And there's a lot of things that affect it, you know? Your attitude, your personal development, your relationship with people around you, how you're working with your team, how you're working with your upline. There's so many things that go into this that it's not just like, well, I want this, I need to have this now. It should be happening, okay? I wish it was that way. I wish we could just say, well, I want this, it's gonna happen. And maybe things are happening for you and you're having amazing things happening. And that's awesome, because, you know, you've set that goal and it's happening. But that doesn't mean that you can let off of personal development, reaching out to uplines, getting coaching, you know, involving the team, trying to do things to encourage and help one another, okay? So there's a lot that goes into these businesses that is not necessarily related to sales. And I know that sometimes that's the tricky part with these businesses, is people are like, well, I can sell. That's awesome. I hope you can. But this is also big time a relationships business. If you can't figure out relationships, you're gonna struggle. So if that's the case, I'm gonna suggest books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. I gotta think for a second. What other books are really good for relationships? And just, you've gotta figure out how to communicate and to work with every personality. So I was talking to somebody yesterday. I can't remember who I was talking to. Oh my gosh. I've talked to so many people this week. I feel like I'm losing my brain. People feel like they think that they have to be a certain personality. So they're like, well, she's doing really awesome because she's so outgoing. That's not the case. You can actually be really shy and reserved and do just fine with this business. Okay. You can do awesome, actually. The key is, how well do you get along with multiple personalities? If you are not able to get along with a lot of different personalities, you're going to struggle. If it's kind of your way or the highway, it's going to be a struggle. Okay, this is not a dictatorship. I'm not a boss. If you want me to be your boss, I can be your boss, and you'll end up hating me. I don't want to be your boss. I want to be your friend. I want to be your encourager. I want to champion you on to do great things. I don't want to be the one messaging you, telling you, have you followed up with your customers? Have you done 2,500 in sales yet? Have you sponsored 3 people yet? Like, yuck. Who wants to be that person? Who wants to have that person over them, right? Okay, so you've got to figure out your personality and how to get along with other people. It is so important, okay? I cannot emphasize this enough. Yes, Blair, we are an army of volunteers. You're your own boss. I don't want to be your boss. You don't want me to be your boss, okay? You go out and you crush this thing because you want it, okay? There's so much good that can come from these businesses aside from the financial benefits of this. My daughter's knocking at the door. I'm gonna have to go get her. Hold on. Hey, Harper.
Mom, I'm missing something.
Well, you gotta go to school soon.
So,
Sorry, she was at a friend's. Okay, so that's why sometimes you'll see somebody who's done direct sales before get into a business and blow it out of the water. And it's because they've worked through a lot of those relationship, personality things. They've done a ton of self-development to be the type of personality that helps to make these businesses flourish, okay? That's right, Samantha, work in your time, okay? It's not according to me, it's according to you, okay? So that is why self-development, personal development is so important. So you might be sitting back and thinking, well, my business isn't growing, I'm not doing what I want. Well, number one, are you doing personal development? Are you reading books? Are you growing as a person? That is priceless. Like, I can't even tell you guys. So my husband and I did Amway for 10 years when we were first married. 10 years. I read a book every day for 15 minutes. I listened to the speakers on my way to work and on my way home, or when I had some time, once I had kids, listening in the car with him, my husband, as we would drive somewhere, we just tried to listen for 15 minutes a day. And I'm telling you, I am so glad that I had that 10 years of personal development. It has absolutely transformed my life in every arena, okay? It was not just for Amway. I learned things about personalities and people that I would not have learned had I not spent that time. So I have that 10 years of personal development and self-development that maybe some of you haven't because you've never done a direct sales before, okay? It's huge, and it is going to be the make or break with a lot of your businesses because people don't want a boss, and you have to learn how to get your volunteers that have signed up with you to move, okay? Now, you're gonna have a lot of people that sign up and they're just freaking amazing and they just kill things. Not kill things, but they just get in and they just go to town on a business and they just get done. That's awesome. But not everybody's gonna be that way. And so you have to learn how to work with every personality. You have to learn to work with the ones that are really strong, that are really motivated, and you have to learn to work with the ones that don't have self-confidence, that struggle to get out the door, to go and talk to people. You have to learn how to work with all of those. Yes, Jennifer, positive mindset and affirmations are very important. So this is today's little motivation is you have got to be working on your personal development. It is absolutely key. So another thing that I would suggest is if you can listen to a training that your upline has done, either on your team page. So team pages like Zaya Life, Zaya Gals, Team Impact, things like that. I know that your teams have information and trainings. I would strongly suggest that you try to listen to something that's a training at least once a day and do 10 to 15 minutes of a book or like a podcast, okay? It's gonna help so much, you guys. I can't even tell you the difference it makes in your life, okay? So sometimes the growth that's happening in your business, You can't physically see it because it's happening on the inside. Okay, it's helping that Zaya tree to grow because you're changing the soil and you're making it ready to help your Zaya tree to grow into what you need it to be. Okay, that's right. Good, Blair. Good, Monica. Jennifer. So think about that today as you're going about your day. And I just hope you guys are doing awesome. You guys have, this team is insane. We've already done over $1 million this month so far, and it's the 12th. That's insane. Okay. I don't even know. I don't even know. You guys are crazy. You guys do amazing things. So, oh, good, Jody. I'm so glad. So just remember, you're trying to grow your Zaya tree, which includes yourself. So you're wanting to grow your team, but guess what else has to grow? Your heart, your personality, your ability to work with other people. That is sometimes the most important thing that needs to grow in your business. Okay. All right. You guys have a great day. Keep killing it. You guys are awesome. Talk to you soon. Bye.